There's a kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. You wake up just as worn as when you went down. Or the calf that seizes up in the night, that sharp, twisting cramp that folds you in half, a heart that flutters. Just for a second, a low mood with no clear reason. For 20 years, I stood at bedsides watching folks chase these things. Nobody stopped to ask whether one quiet gap was behind all of them. One mineral. Your body leans on it for hundreds of small jobs, every hour of every day. Steadying your nerves, calming your muscles, keeping your heartbeat even, helping your bones hold what they're supposed to hold. Among folks past 65, more than 8 in 10 fall short of what they need. 8 in 10. Not from anything exotic. From ordinary food most of us just stopped eating. Today I'm walking you through 14 of those foods. Some are on your counter right now without you knowing. One of them is the reason to keep a little square of dark chocolate in your desk drawer and feel no guilt about it. One costs less than a cup of coffee and grows in a bunch you've probably walked past 100 times. And one, the number 3 on this list, has a bedtime story that most people have never heard from their doctor. I'm Clara. I'll tell you what each one does, how much it carries, and one preparation habit that quietly changes how much of this mineral your body actually gets. Stay with me. The first one grows right outside my door, in the damp and the fog, and it's about as humble as green gets. Spinach. Most folks picture it raw, in a salad, and that's fine. But here's what I learned reading labels the way I used to read charts. A big bowl of raw leaves cooks down to almost nothing. A pile the size of your 2 hands wilts to a couple of forkfuls, and all that mineral it was carrying doesn't vanish. It concentrates. 1 cooked cupful gives you around 157 milligrams of magnesium. For a woman, that's near half of what she needs in a whole day from one side dish. Think of magnesium as the little spark plug your muscles and nerves run on. When it runs low, things get twitchy. The eyelid flutter. The calf that knots at night. Spinach helps top the tank. There's one honest catch, and I'll not hide it from you. Spinach carries something called oxalates. Think of them as tiny hands that grab a bit of the mineral on the way through. Here's the lovely part, though. Cooking it settles a lot of those little hands down, so the warm, wilted spinach actually gives your body more than the cold, raw pile does. The way I do it is simple. A hot pan, a spoon of olive oil, a clove of garlic smashed under the flat of a knife. In go the leaves. 30 seconds, and they've collapsed into something dark and glossy. A squeeze of lemon, salt, pepper. Done. Standing over that pan with the fog still sitting on the furs, I think how something that grows so freely asks so little of us. A blessing from the soil, my mother would have called it. She wasn't wrong. A fistful in your eggs, a handful stirred into soup at the end. You won't taste it. Your body will know it's there. And here's a thing worth knowing, especially if you take a vitamin D pill of a morning, the way so many of us do. Your body can't make proper use of that vitamin D without magnesium on hand to help it along. Short on the one, and you're not getting full value from the other. Here's what a body actually needs in a day. For most women, it's around 320 milligrams. For most men, closer to 420. It sounds a lot, written down like that. But you'll see, as we go, how quick it adds up once the right foods are back on the plate. The early signs of running low are the easy ones to shrug off. A muscle that twitches, sleep that won't come, a tiredness that a good night's rest doesn't touch. None of them shout. They just nag. And a body that's quietly short will start borrowing from your bones to make up the difference. So the greens aren't working alone. They're quietly helping the rest of your good habits pay off. That's how a body likes to work, in company, never in isolation. Right next to my spinach, in stems the color of a paint box, grows one. Most people walk straight past at the market. Swiss chard, reds, golds, a pink so bright it looks made up, rainbow. And under all that show, it's carrying about 150 milligrams of magnesium in a cooked cup, right up there with its cousin spinach. Chard's a workhorse. It doesn't mind the cool and the wet out here. You cut the outer leaves, and it just keeps sending up more from the middle. Cut, grows, cut again. Now the stems and the leaves want different timing, and that trips people up. The stems are firmer, a bit like celery, so they go in the pan first. Give those a few minutes in a little oil till they soften. Then tear in the leaves for the last minute just to wilt them. That's the whole trick. It carries a touch of those same mineral-grabbing oxalates spinach does. So I do the same thing I always tell folks. Eat it in good company, not on its own island. Variety is the quiet medicine. A pinch of salt, a squeeze of lemon, maybe a few white beans thrown in, and now you've got supper, not a side. I'll be honest, I grow chard partly because it's pretty. A row of it catches the low light and glows like stained glass. The Creator didn't have to make the useful things beautiful too, but He did. If you've never grown a thing in your life, chard's the one to start with. Forgiving, generous, and it'll hand you this mineral by the armful, week after week, for the price of a seed packet. Chard brings potassium too, in good measure, and potassium and magnesium are a pair when it comes to easing the pressure in your pipes. The one helps the other do its work. So a plate of greens is pulling two levers at once. There's fiber in it besides, the gentle sort that keeps an older system moving along without any fuss. Food that feeds you and tends to your plumbing in the same forkful. That's my kind of bargain. This next one is the champion. Ounce for ounce. Nothing on the plate beats it. Pumpkin seeds. The little green ones, pepitas, some call them. A single, small handful, about an ounce, carries somewhere near 150 milligrams. From something that fits in your palm. Potent. I keep a jar of them by the stove. Was it my grandmother or her sister who did that first? No matter. The habit stuck, and I'm glad of it. Magnesium is the mineral your body reaches for to settle things down at the end of the day. It helps quiet a racing mind and loosen a tight muscle. That's why so many people notice it in their sleep. There was a review of older adults, the ones fighting to fall asleep, given magnesium supplements against a dummy pill. Not food magnesium, mind, but the concentrated kind. On average, they drifted off a good bit faster. Now I'll be square with you. The researchers themselves said that evidence is still thin, and they'd like bigger, better studies. So I don't oversell it, but a food this rich, that tastes this good, is an easy thing to try. Raw is fine, but I like them toasted. A dry pan, medium heat, and you wait for the first little pop. They'll dance and crackle and turn a shade darker. A pinch of salt while they're still warm. That's it. Don't wander off. They scorch the second you turn your back. I scatter them over a bowl of oats, over a soup, over a salad for a bit of crunch, even just a small handful in the afternoon when the tea's on and the light's going flat. To think all of that sits folded inside one little seed, a whole plant's worth of intention, waiting in your palm. That never stops moving me. There's more than sleep to these seeds. That same mineral helps keep the steady beat of your heart in time. Think of it as the little metronome ticking under the music. When it runs short, that rhythm can wander. It's one of the reasons doctors keep an eye on magnesium. And pumpkin seeds don't come empty-handed otherwise. Zinc for your defenses, a bit of iron, good protein and healthy fat, so a handful actually holds you till supper instead of leaving you rummaging an hour later. The next one won't win any beauty contests, but it's one of the best value foods a body can keep in the house. Black beans. A full cooked cup runs you about 120 milligrams of magnesium, and it comes wrapped up with fiber and plant protein in the same bite. 3 good things. 1 cheap can. This matters more than most people realize. And I'll tell you why, plainly. When researchers followed huge groups of people for years, the ones eating more magnesium tended to run a lower risk of some heavy troubles. Type 2 diabetes, stroke, heart failure. For every little bump up in daily magnesium, the odds ran a touch kinder. Studies show it. Association, mind you, not a promise, but it points the same direction, over and over. Now, if you're already living with any of those, or on medicine for them, this is a food to enjoy, not a reason to change a single thing your doctor told you. Add the beans, keep the appointment. Here's a step my grandmother never skipped, and most of us do. Beans carry a natural coating that clamps onto some of their own minerals, so your body can't collect all of it. Soaking dry beans overnight, then pouring off that water, loosens that grip. Same goes for a rinse if you're using canned. A cheap habit that quietly gives you more of what you paid for. And they're forgiving. A pot of beans doesn't care if you're a good cook. Onion, a bay leaf, a little salt near the end, and thyme, mostly thyme. I'll make a big batch and it stretches all week. Beans in the morning eggs, beans mashed on toast, beans folded into a soup with a handful of that chard. Humble food, the kind that fed whole families through lean times and never once let them down. There's a dignity in that I've come to respect. Beans do something clever with your blood sugar besides. All that fiber slows the meal down, so the sugar seeps in gentle over hours instead of spiking and crashing. Steady. That's the word. Your body far prefers steady. And here's an old trick worth its weight. Eat your beans alongside a grain, that brown rice, or the quinoa I'll come to. And between them, they make a complete protein. Every building block your body needs. Beans and rice. Our grandparents knew. It was never an accident on the plate. This next one you already know. You've just maybe never given it its due. Almonds. A small handful, an ounce, about 23 of them, carries around 80 milligrams of magnesium, a tidy amount for something you can eat with one hand while you read. And here's where almonds earn their keep for folks my age. Magnesium and calcium work together like a mason and his mortar. The calcium's the brick. The magnesium helps set it where it belongs. Around 3/5 of the magnesium in your whole body is stored right in your bones. A quiet reserve, a bank vault you're drawing on without ever seeing the ledger. So a food that carries both, in the same little kernel, is doing double duty. Not flashy, just steady. I'll give you the one caution since I'd tell my own sister. Almonds are rich, easy to eat the whole jar without noticing. A handful is a serving. The whole bag is a different conversation, and I keep mine with the skins on. That papery brown coat has good in it too, so I don't buy them blanched and stripped bare. There's a little dish of them by my reading chair. When the afternoon goes quiet and I'd otherwise reach for something sweet, I reach for those instead. Simple swaps like that, a handful of almonds where the crackers used to be, those are the changes that actually hold, not the grand plans. The small, easy ones you'll still be doing next year. Almonds carry vitamin E as well, which looks after your skin and your cells like a good coat of paint on a fence, keeps the weather off. So there's more than the one mineral in every handful. You might wonder how a whole country got short on magnesium in the first place. Part of it's simple. We've traded whole foods for white, soft, packaged ones. And every step of that trade sands a little more of the mineral away. Getting it back is mostly a matter of walking that trade backward. And it's not only what we put on the plate, the very things a modern life runs on. The extra cup of coffee, a glass of wine, a long stretch of worry, all coax a little more magnesium out of us than a calmer life would, which is only more reason to keep putting it back, steady, through your food. They're cousins on this list too, and it's got a trick almonds don't. Cashews, about 80 milligrams of magnesium in an ounce, near enough the same as almonds, but cashews are softer, creamier, and that opens a door in the kitchen. Soak a cup of raw cashews in water for a few hours till they plump and soften. Then blend them with a splash of that water. What you get is a smooth, pale cream. No dairy in sight. It'll thicken a soup. Stand in for the heavy cream in a sauce. Even sweeten up into a pudding if you coax it. For anyone whose stomach's turned fussy on milk with the years, and plenty of ours do, that's a gentle way to keep something rich on the table. Magnesium's got a calming side to it. It helps take the edge off jangled nerves and a wound-up mind. I think of it as the mineral that tells the body it's all right to stand down. A cashew won't undo a hard day, but a small handful and a few slow breaths on the porch, well, some evenings that's medicine enough. Buy them raw and unsalted if you can, then salt them yourself. You'll use a fraction of what the factory pours on and taste them better for it. Toasted, blended, or straight from the jar. However you take them, you're feeding that quiet reserve. And the plate's a little richer for it. There's iron in cashews too, which counts for more as we age and tire easier than we once did. And that calming side of magnesium has been looked at, gently, for its ties to mood. I'll not overstate it, but a steadier body tends to carry a steadier mind. In the kitchen, they're the most useful of the nuts, to my mind. That creaminess lets them melt into things and disappear, carrying their good along quiet. A spoon of cashew butter on your toast does much the same job as a handful, if chewing's gone hard on you. Now to the buttery one that carries a partner alongside the magnesium. Avocado, One good avocado holds close to 60 milligrams of magnesium, but it also brings a big load of potassium. And those two minerals are a team when it comes to blood pressure. Picture the wall of a garden hose. When these minerals are where they should be, they help that wall stay soft and easy, so the water flows without straining the pipe. This isn't a hunch folks have picked up somewhere. When researchers pooled the trials together, magnesium nudged blood pressure down, a modest, honest amount, strongest in people who already ran high or were short on the mineral to begin with. Here's my firm word, and I mean it. If you take water pills or blood pressure medicine, or if your kidneys don't clear things the way they used to, talk to your doctor before you go loading up. Food magnesium is safe for nearly everyone. It's the mineral your body's easy about, taking what it needs and letting the rest go. It's the pills you can overdo, and only certain folks need to watch. When in doubt, ask. There's one more quiet gift in an avocado. That good fat acts like a little fairy. Some of the goodness in your vegetables can only cross into your body riding along on fat, so a few slices of avocado over a plate of greens does more than taste good. It helps your body actually collect what those greens are handing it. I keep it about as plain as cooking gets. Ripe avocado, mashed rough with a fork onto good toast, a crack of salt, a squeeze of lemon so it doesn't brown, or straight from the shell with a spoon. Standing at the counter, if I'm honest, when nobody's looking. For something that feels like a treat, it's carrying real work in it. Butter from a tree, my neighbor calls it. That about sums it up. That fat in an avocado is the friendly sort, the very kind that's in good olive oil, the kind that's gentle on your heart rather than hard on it. And there's a surprising amount of fiber tucked inside, which most folks never expect from something so soft and rich. For all it feels like an indulgence, an avocado is mostly doing steady, unglamorous work. A little magnesium, a good deal of potassium, that friendly fat, and the fiber. 4 quiet helpers, all in one soft green shell. And here's the one you've been waiting for, the one that makes people sit up. Dark chocolate. A single ounce of good dark chocolate, the real bitter kind, carries around 65 milligrams of magnesium. That square of dark chocolate isn't just a treat, it's a genuinely useful source, and one most people would never think to put on a list like this. The magnesium rides in on the cocoa itself, the bean. So the darker the bar, the more cocoa, the more you're getting. And that's the whole game, right there. You want 70% cocoa or higher on the label. The paler, sweeter stuff has been watered down with sugar and milk till there's barely any bean left. I'll not pretend chocolate is health food, dearie. It isn't. The sugar's real, and a whole bar in an evening helps nobody. But a square or two of the dark, bitter kind, savored slow after supper, is a small and honest pleasure that happens to carry a real mineral along with it. I keep a bar of the good stuff in the cupboard wrapped tight, not to finish in a sitting, to visit. 2 squares, and it's back on the shelf. Let it sit on your tongue and melt rather than chewing it down. You taste more, and oddly, you want less. The bitterness is the point. The cocoa carries more than magnesium, mind. It's rich in plant compounds that studies have tied to easier blood flow, part of why a little dark chocolate keeps turning up in the heart research. Modest findings, but friendly ones. One gentle warning, though, chocolate carries a whisper of caffeine in it. So if you're one who lies awake at night, keep your square to the afternoon rather than right before bed. No sense feeding your sleep with one hand and stealing it back with the other. Pair a square with a few of those almonds, and you've got yourself a little after-dinner ritual that's quietly feeding your bones and your nerves both. It struck me, learning this, how often the good and the pleasant aren't at war. Sometimes the thing that comforts you is doing you a quiet favor besides. I find a lot of grace in that. This next one's so small you could lose it in a crack in the floorboards, and it carries a startling amount. Chia seeds. An ounce of these piney things, a couple of spoonfuls, holds around 100 milligrams of magnesium. From seeds you barely feel between your fingers. Chia's got a peculiar habit. Drop it in liquid, wait a spell, and each little seed swells up in a soft, clear jelly, like a whole handful of miniature sponges drinking their fill. That's not a party trick. That gel is fiber, and fiber's the sort that keeps things moving gentle and steady. A real kindness to an older gut. The easiest thing in the world. 2 spoons of chia, a cup of milk, cows, oat, Whatever you keep, a little honey. Stir it and leave it in the fridge overnight. By morning, it's set into a soft pudding. Top it with a bit of fruit, and there's breakfast. Made while you slept. I'll not turn down a meal that cooks itself. If pudding's not your way, just stir a spoonful into your oatmeal. Or a glass of water with a squeeze of lemon. It thickens it up a touch, and down it goes. Ground or whole, both work for the fiber and the pudding. But if you want more of the good fat your body can use, grind them first. The seed coat's tough, and a little milling opens it up. Either way, keep them dry and cool, and they last for ages. It's a wonder, really. Such a mighty thing, in such a modest package. The way the Creator tends to hide the biggest gifts in the smallest wrappings. There's another quiet gift in Chia, a plant form of the same good fat we're always told to get from oily fish. Not identical, and your body only turns a portion of it to use. But for folks who don't care for fish, it's a welcome bit extra. Soaking them first isn't only for the pudding. That swelling softens the seed and seems to help your body get at what's tucked inside. Dry and whole, a few can slip right past you unopened. Give them their soak, and you keep more of the good. This next one you've probably only met at a restaurant, and it belongs right in your own kitchen. Edamame, young soybeans, still in the pod. A cup of them gives you around 100 milligrams of magnesium, and here's what makes them special among the plants. They carry a complete protein. Most plant foods are missing a building block or two your body can't make on its own. Soybeans aren't. They bring the full set, the way meat does, the way eggs do. Rare for something green. So for the days you'd rather not cook meat, this is a food that doesn't leave a gap behind. Magnesium and a full protein in one green handful. You'll find them in the freezer aisle, already in the pod. That's the whole beauty of it. No work's been left for you. A few minutes in boiling water or steam till they're hot and bright green. Tip them into a bowl, a good scatter of coarse salt. Then you squeeze each pod and the beans pop straight into your mouth. There's something satisfying in the doing of it. Keeps your hands busy of an evening, or shell a batch and throw the beans into a salad, a soup, a stir-fry. They hold their shape and their bite, so they never go to mush on you. Cheap, filling, and about as easy as feeding yourself gets. I keep a bag in the freezer for the nights the cupboard looks bare, and the will to cook's gone thin. Soybeans carry compounds called isoflavones that researchers have studied for years. Particularly in women past a certain age, the findings are mixed, and I'll make no promises about them. But whole soybeans, eaten as plain food, have nourished people well for a very long time. For the price, there's little that competes. A bag of frozen edamame costs next to nothing and hands you protein, magnesium, and fiber all together. On a tight budget, and I know plenty are, it's one of the smartest handfuls you can buy. This next one, people call a grain, though it isn't quite one, and it's a fine trade for the white rice on your shelf. Quinoa, a cooked cup carries about 118 milligrams of magnesium, and like those soybeans, it brings a complete protein along, unusual for something you scoop like rice. There's one step you can't skip, and it's the difference between loving quinoa and swearing off it forever. It comes with a natural bitter coating on each grain. Nature put it there to keep the birds off, but it'll leave a soapy, bitter taste if you cook it as is. So you give it a bath first, tip it into a fine sieve, and run cool water over it, rubbing it with your fingers, till the water runs clear instead of foamy. Half a minute, that's all it asks. Then it cooks just like rice. 1 part quinoa, 2 parts water, a lid, and let it be till the water's gone and each grain's uncurled its little tail. Fluff it with a fork. Now you've a base for near anything. Under a stew, tossed with vegetables and oil, or cold the next day with whatever's in the fridge. I make extra on purpose. Cooked quinoa keeps happily for days, and a bowl of it turns leftovers into a proper meal. It's an old food. Folks were growing it high in the mountains long before any of us were here to argue about it. Time-tested. That word means something to me. One more thing in quinoa's favor. There's not a speck of gluten in it, so for the folks whose insides can't abide wheat, it's a soft place to land. It carries iron, too, and that same steady fiber. A great deal of good, packed in a little seed. I came to quinoa late, I'll confess. Spent years cooking the same white rice my mother did before I ever gave it a proper try. Goes to show you're never too set in your ways to let a good new thing onto the table. And that brings me neat to the next one, because it makes a point I want you to carry home. Brown rice. A cooked cup of brown rice holds around 86 milligrams of magnesium. The same cup of white rice gives you closer to 20. Same plant, a world apart. Here's the why of it, and it's a lesson that reaches past rice. The mineral lives mostly in the bran, that brown outer coat on the grain. To make rice white, they sand that coat clean off. Prettier, softer, cooks faster. But you've sanded away the very part that was carrying the good. That's the general rule with grains. The whiter and softer and quicker it is, the more that's likely been stripped from it. The browner and chewier, the more is still there. Brown rice does ask more of you. It takes a good deal longer to cook, and it never goes as soft. Patience is the price. So I cheat. I cook a big pot when I've the time, then freeze it in portions. A couple minutes to reheat, and the waiting's already done. If the full switch is too much at once, do what I told a stubborn friend. Cook them half and half. Some brown, some white, in the same pot. Your body still comes out ahead. It's a small thing, choosing the browner grain. But small things, done at every meal, day after day, add up to more than any single grand gesture ever will. That bran holds more than magnesium besides. It's where the B vitamins live, the ones that help turn your food into the energy to actually get up and do something with your day. Strip the bran off, and you've poured those down the drain right along with the mineral. One honest note, since I'd tell my own family, brown rice can hold a little more of certain things drawn up out of the soil than we'd like. Nothing to lose sleep over. Just rinse it well before it cooks, cook it in plenty of water, and don't let any one grain be your every meal. Variety keeps you safe. This next one is older than most medicine has any right to be, and I've a soft spot for it. Figs. The dried ones, especially. A small handful carries around 50 milligrams of magnesium, and it doesn't stop there. A good dose of calcium and potassium right along too. So this little fruit's feeding your bones from more than one direction at once. Magnesium and calcium, working shoulder to shoulder the way I told you they do. Folks have been eating figs since before anyone thought to write medicine down. They're right there in the oldest books we have. There's something steadying in that, to me. A food that fed people 3,000 years ago, still doing quiet good on my table today. The Creator's pharmacy doesn't expire. They're sweet, properly sweet. So they're my answer to a sugar craving. When I want a sweet after supper, I'll reach for 2 or 3 of these before I'll reach for a cookie. Chop a couple into your morning oats and they melt into little pockets of honey through. The whole bowl. No sugar needed, or the way I like them best, a dried fig split open with a bit of soft cheese and a walnut pressed inside. Now that's a supper's ending fit for company. Do go gentle, mind. That sweetness is real sugar, natural or not. A small handful is the treat. The whole bag is a bellyache. But as far as sweet things go, there are far worse to lean on. This one gives back while it pleases you. And that's a rare, good bargain. Figs carry a particular kind of fiber that feeds the good little residents down in your gut, the ones that, in their turn, look after you. Prebiotic is the word for it. Food for the helpers that keep an older system running smooth. There's a reason figs turn up in the oldest stories folks ever told. A fruit you could dry and carry and keep through a long, lean stretch, one that fed you and did you a little good as it went. I think on that every time I open the jar. Provision, that's the word that comes to me. And I've saved the plainest for last on purpose, because I want you to see how ordinary this can be. Bananas. One banana carries around 30 milligrams of magnesium. Not the biggest number on this list, not by a long shot. But hear me out, because this one's clever. A banana costs pennies. Everybody's got one, or can. And it comes with a heap of potassium, which, you'll remember, is magnesium's partner in easing those muscle cramps. That's the pair so many people are short on when the calf knots up at night. The 2 minerals that help a tired muscle unclench and settle. So the humble banana, that we hardly think about, is quietly working on one of the very complaints I opened this whole talk with. There's no recipe here. That's the point. You peel it. You eat it. A child could manage it, and often does. Slice one over your oats. Mash a ripe one into pancake batter for a natural sweetness. Freeze the spotty ones and blend them up thick and cold like ice cream. And don't toss the freckled ones. The browner and softer they get, the sweeter, perfect for baking or blending, whatever they've lost in looks. I keep one in my bag on a day out. When the tea's a long way off and my energy dips, it's the easiest good thing to reach for. 14 foods. And the last one's the sort you can buy anywhere for next to nothing. No skill required. That, to me, is the whole heart of this. Good health was never meant to be locked behind a fancy door. There's vitamin B6 in a banana as well, which your body leans on to keep its moods and its nerves on an even keel. And the greener, firmer ones carry a starch that behaves like fiber. Another quiet feeding for those good residents in your gut. 14 foods, and this last one asks nothing of you but to peel it. If you carry off just one thing from all my talking, let it be this. The road back to feeling steadier runs straight through your own kitchen. Not the pharmacy, the kitchen. Now, let me pull all this together before you go, the way I would over the garden fence. 14 foods, not one of them exotic, not one of them dear. Seeds and beans and greens and a square of good chocolate. The stuff our grandparents ate without ever needing a label to tell them it was wise. And underneath all of it, one quiet mineral your body's been asking for all along, the one 8 in 10 older folks aren't getting enough of. You can close that gap with a fork. No pills required. And you don't need all 14, mind. That's not the ask. Pick 2 or 3 that already suit your table and lean into those. A handful of seeds here, a cup of beans there. That's how a real change takes root and actually stays put. Let me say the important part once more. Plain. None of this replaces your doctor. I'm a retired nurse, not your prescriber. If you're on medicine for your heart or your pressure or your kidneys give you trouble, take this list to your own doctor and let them steer. What I've shared is what the research points to and what 30 years of watching people get well taught me to notice. The rest is between you, your doctor, and your own good sense. Here's my question for you, over the fence. Do you soak your beans and seeds before you cook them, the way the old folks did? Or were you never taught that step? I ask because it changes how much of this mineral your body actually gets to keep. And I'm curious how many of you grew up with that habit and how many are hearing it for the first time. Tell me down below. I read every one. And if you found something useful in all this rambling, do subscribe and sit with me a while. I put a new one of these together every day, and I'd be glad of your company for the next. Till then, go gentle with yourself, eat something green, and thank the ground it grew from. May the Lord keep you healthy. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.